Hey everybody, I have a story for you that is actually my daughter's story, and I tried to get her to tell it, but she's not into the video thing. She'll do photographs, for her Facebook. She's not big on the video. So I did manage to get her to do a note about it after she told me. It happened in February. She calls me up. It's around 8 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, I answer the phone. I'm still in the bed, and she's like, Mom, you're not going to believe how insignificant we are. And I was like, what? What? And she says, you just don't even know. You just don't even know. I've been waiting all night to call you. I've not even been to bed. You're not going to believe what I saw. She goes, well, actually, if anyone would believe it, it will be you, but you're not going to believe what I saw. My life means nothing. Yours means nothing. We mean nothing. We are all insignificant. None of this matters. And I was like, well, I'm confused. What are you fucking talking about? So, she tells me that she was going to call me as soon as it happened, but her boyfriend convinced her that it was too late at night not to bother calling me, and she hadn't been able to sleep, so she called me as soon as she just couldn't wait anymore, which was around 8 in the morning. She won't do this video, but she did make a note about it on her Facebook. She's a very, very private person, but this was bigger than her. As she put it, this was bigger than everything that you think you know. She said this is bigger than anything you'll ever see or ever know or anything they'll ever tell you. They being society, churches, everything. So I'm just going to read you the note that she put on her Facebook. Last night, while my boyfriend and I were laying on the couch watching TV, he saw a light out of the corner of his eye and told me to look at how low the plane was. When we opened the blinds and got a better look, we realized that it was an irregularly shaped aircraft, so low to the ground it was almost brushing the tops of the trees. There was no sound in the room, and yet we couldn't hear the aircraft making noise at all. It was completely silent and gliding smoothly. It had 4 lights on the underside in a row, a white, a red, another white, and then a blue. In the front, set apart from the rest, was a bright white light that was bigger than the others. I couldn't make out a body shape. It looked almost like floating lights. Common sense tells me that if there was a body, the bright lights would have illuminated it enough for me to see. I knew immediately what I was looking at. In the instant that I saw it, within 2 seconds, the lights began cutting off one by one, starting in the front with the bigger, brighter light. The others cut off in the back one by one, from left to right. It was over in about 15 seconds. It was massive and hovering directly above the backyard. I was looking up at it, directly under it. It was approximately 30 feet wide and 20 feet long. Now, after she wrote this note, we got to talking about the size comparison, compared to the mobile home she's in, which is surrounded by trees. It's in like I don't know, it's like a cutout in the woods at the beginning of their neighborhood, surrounded by trees. There's a water runoff in the back. It's swampy behind that tree line in their backyard. And it's bigger than what she thought, the 30 by 20. It's bigger, she realized. Afterward, my boyfriend and I were on edge, waiting to see something else. When we finally settled back down, exactly 1 hour later, we saw another. It was going the opposite direction of the first, and it was completely different. This one made a slight humming noise, just hardly loud enough to hear, and it had a wingspan like a plane, but they were squared as opposed to being aerodynamic. 4 red lights lined the wingspan. There was a mass on the back, but I couldn't make out what shape it was in, as it happened faster than the first one. I ran to the next window after it was out of my eyesight to get a better look, but it was gone. No noise, nothing. The strangest thing about all of it was that my boyfriend and I saw different colors on the second one. Although we saw the exact same thing at the exact same time, I saw 4 red lights and he saw 4 yellow. I trust without a doubt that he knows what he saw just as he trusts me. There's no explanation as to why we would see 2 separate things while staring at the same thing. Finally, today, at 5:30 p.m., right as the sun was starting to set, we saw out the back kitchen window some sort of smoothly gliding mass. It wasn't round, it wasn't oblong, it wasn't cylindrical. I couldn't put my finger on how to explain it. All I really took away from it was that it had purpose. It looked like it was on a mission. It just wasn't floating along, smacking into the limbs. It dodged them and landed on the ground. By the time I got on my shoes and ran into the woods, it was gone. All in all, what I saw was undeniable. I couldn't write it off as something else because it wasn't far away. It was close enough to throw rocks at. I'm not crazy. I'm not on drugs. I wasn't under the influence of anything. And what she kept saying afterwards was constant. It was all the time. It was, "You're insignificant." I would ask her, "Are you coming over for dinner tonight?" She'd go, "Yeah." I'd say, "Well, what do you want to eat?" She'd go, "Doesn't really matter. It's insignificant." And I'd be like, "Oh, come on." She'd laugh and go, "I'm serious, Mom. There's nothing matters anymore. Nothing is what we think it is. Nothing." And for people that doubt her, she says, her exact quote, "You can be a believer. Oh, you don't believe? Ask me how to. Call 1-800 you didn't see what I saw." Her boyfriend never believed in any of that, ever. He's from North Carolina. He's very, very down home, very, and he said he doesn't need to see nothing else. I don't need to see anything else to know that things are not what we have been told. She said it changed her outlook on everything. I felt insignificant and yet so privileged. And I know she felt privileged. I would have loved to have seen that. Whatever it was that she saw, whatever it was she saw was powerful. It changed my child. It changed my child completely. She did not sleep solid for almost 2 months. Just sleep did not happen for her. She was a little scared. She was confused. Anybody would be. But she's one of the sanest people I know. She's the grounded one. She keeps me in check. So that's her story. And around that same time, I did a little research online. They have like websites and different things where you can check reports that were made in your area or in other areas. And quite a few reports were made within about 15 to 20 days, around that time frame, give or take, for this area. Right through the Edgecombe County, Nash County, Wilson County area. There were a string of events publicly viewed in, I think it was Arizona, right around the same time. I mean, like police officers and lawyers and, I mean, people with stature in the community witnessed it and were like, I know what I saw. And of course, no one doubts them. But yeah, so I believe my daughter, and not because she's my kid, but because I know her. So there's her story, and she says we're insignificant, and we are. We really are. So thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button down below. Come hang out with me a little more sometime, and everyone have a good night.